Looking for a unique online gaming experience? Well, Golden Nugget's online live dealer games are changing the way people play online in New Jersey. Broadcast live from an exclusive studio at the Golden Nugget Atlantic City and streamed directly to you, the player, on your smartphone or your laptop, Live Dealer creates a true casino floor experience online. The dealers even have their own unique personalities, talking to you as they deal the cards. It's almost like being in the Golden Nugget in Atlantic City.
And as long as you're within the New Jersey limits, you can play from wherever you happen to be or on the go. Tablet, phone, or desktop, wherever you are, you can enjoy the Live Dealer experience. Play Golden Nugget's online Live Dealer today in real time, 7 days a week, now from 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. Blackjack, roulette, baccarat, all live in real time on GoldenNuggetCasino.com.
Get started today at GoldenNuggetCasino.com and take part in the newest and most unique online gaming experience a casino can offer. Golden Nugget's online live dealer, truly the next evolution of online gaming. Must be 21 years or older, New Jersey only, problem gambler, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Hello, everybody. Welcome to your weekly installment of Turnpike Sports. I am Dave Weishuttle, as always, joined by my co-host and producer, Doug Weishuttle. Doug, hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great today. Great today.
So what's on tap for this week?
Well, we have our normal installments of the injury report, the police blotter, and we're going to do a little trade deadline talk for the NFL.
Oh, that's always fun stuff.
All right. Before we get to the show, as always, how to get in touch with us. To contact Turnpike Sports, you can call or text us at our Turnpike Sports hotline, 609-512-5910. Again, 609-512-5910. That's a call or text line. You can also follow or reach us over the Twitter and Facebook pages, both at Turnpike Sports. And you can email the show at info@turnpikesportsradio.com.
A big congratulations to the Houston Astros in an epic win in an epic World Series. That was truly amazing.
One of the best World Series I've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely. Game 7 kind of let me down a bit, and it was 5-0 pretty early on, and it remained 5-0. And thank you, Darvish.
Darvish tipped all his pitches in the first couple innings. Everyone was watching that, and they seemed to actually capitalize on it because everyone noticed the aggressiveness of the swings early on.
But that doesn't take away from how great the Houston Astros were in the series and all year. And they came a long way from being the Colt 45s in the early 60s.
Well, after 55 years, they finally get their first World Series.
Congratulations. And it's great for Houston. They've been through a lot this year.
Especially with the hurricane there.
Absolutely. And I want you to stick around. You know, every week we have our picks by Simon Chokoisky. But you know what? I'm actually going to do a full interview with him because, everyone wants to know how he does his picks. So he has a book out, Gambler's Dharma, Sports Betting with Vedic Astrology. And we're going to talk all about it, how he comes up with the picks, what goes into making his charts, what he looks at for the teams, the elements, the time, the planets, who knows?
It's all Simon all day.
It's all Simon all day. Yeah, it's a Simon Chokoisky special, I guess. So stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports. Ever since we started this show, people have been asking for advice. Usually it's what team to bet on this week. You got the Patriots or Steelers, Chicago, Detroit. Well, let me tell you this. Where you're betting at is just as important as who you're betting on. So that's why I tell people to go to mybookie.ag. Use promo code PIKE, P-I-K-E, for up to a 100% deposit bonus. There are a lot of online sports books out there. MyBookie.ag is the only one that gets my stamp of approval, and I don't give that out lightly. To get my endorsement, I've got to personally use them, and that means they have to be the best. And MyBookie.ag is by far the best sportsbook I've used. The rep is rock solid. They do 100% cash bonuses, so off the bat you're making money for doing nothing. And they have the fastest payouts. Seriously, just 2 business days. It's no different from betting in a glitzy Las Vegas casino, but you can do it right from your smartphone. Go to mybookie.ag to place your bets and tell them I sent you by using promo code PIKE. Get over there and get the best odds anywhere.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Doug Weishuttle with your Turnpike Sports Weekly Injury Report. Chicago Bears tight end Zach Miller is recuperating following emergency surgery on Sunday to repair a damaged artery in his left leg. Miller dislocated his knee during the Bears game against the Saints, and the operation occurred immediately following the game in order to save Miller's leg. The surgery was successful, but his return to football remains in question. San Francisco 49ers offensive tackle Joe Staley suffered what is being described as an orbital fracture in the Niners game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Surgery will not be required, and a timeline for recovery has not been set as of yet. And after being knocked out of last Thursday night's game, Baltimore Ravens quarterback Joe Flacco remains in the concussion protocol, but may still play this weekend when the Ravens face the Tennessee Titans. In the NBA, the Philadelphia 76ers announced that their number 1 draft pick Markelle Fultz will be out at least 3 weeks due to a shoulder injury that has affected his shooting form. Fultz was diagnosed with soreness and a scapular muscle imbalance in his right shoulder. The injury will be reevaluated at the end of the 3-week period. And finally, Tiger Woods announced that he will be returning to the links to play in the Hero World Challenge beginning November 30th. Woods has not competed since February due to a lingering back injury. This has been Doug Weishuttle for Turnpike Sports. Come back next week, and in the meantime, let's be careful out there.
Welcome back to Turnpike Sports. Not only a busy week in Major League Baseball, NFL teams were busy trading and wheeling and dealing. Doug, man, I loved what happened this week in the NFL.
Well, where do you want to start? We got a whole bunch of different trades to talk about. We've got the Patriots, we've got the Eagles, we have even the Browns.
I want to start with my beloved Philadelphia Eagles. This shows that they're going for it right now.
Well, I still don't even understand why the Dolphins got rid of Ajayi. He could change
Ajayi. I've heard his name pronounced about 5 times differently this week.
It's over the years, because he's in the division that I follow a lot, the AFC East, I've heard him pronounce it so many different ways. It's not funny. So, but they gave him to the Eagles for a fourth round
draft pick. I guess head coach Adam Gase was sending a message to his team. I guess if you're not performing well, he's going to send you to a Super Bowl contender, and you can get a paycheck for playoffs.
Like I said, it's a weird move. I don't think they needed to make it, but I guess they wanted the draft pick, and I don't think they're going anywhere this year anyway. Now that Cutler's hurt, we don't know when he's coming back. Moore seems to be imploding it every time he's out in the field throwing the ball around. So it's an interesting trade. But
let me tell you, GM Howie Roseman for the Eagles, I think he was implying that Ajayi was going to take the place of Sproles, who went down earlier this year. He made the point of Ajayi coming out of Boise State was a great pass receiver as a running back, so it looks like that's kind of the role that he's going to be taking in the Eagles.
I've seen other people say maybe he's looking at taking over for LeGarrette Blount, and Blount coming in as almost like a short yardage, almost a red zone running back.
Blount is not fast enough to hit the corners. I think Ajayi is, and I think it's an absolutely great pickup for the Eagles. This next team completely baffled me, the Patriots. I think everyone in New England saying, oh my God, what a great move. What a smart way to Patriots got rid of a problem for next year because they couldn't keep Garoppolo without paying him a whole lot of money. So they got rid of him. I think everyone in New England is a little disappointed that they only got a second-round draft pick. Everyone was thinking, oh, we can flip him for a first-round draft pick. But what's your take? I know you follow the AFC East mighty closely.
It's interesting that they are now going strictly with Brady. They have no other quarterbacks on their roster.
Which is crazy.
Well, I think they're anticipating picking up the guy that the Niners just released, one of the Hoyers.
Yeah, they did. They did.
Can't have the NFL without a Hoyer in it. So.
I don't remember the NFL without a Hoyer in it.
I guess they feel confident enough that he's going to play at least another 2 years, and they really didn't think that they had any chance of getting Garoppolo back. I think it bodes well for all the other teams in the AFC East. and the AFC in general.
Yeah, I just don't understand it. They had the heir apparent there. He did pretty well last year when Brady was suspended for deflating footballs, and he made a good showing before he got hurt. So don't see how this one's going to shape up for the Patriots. We'll see if Brady abides by his book, does the electrolytes and the health food, and eat lots of kale, that evil weed.
Well, and, you mentioned something, the heir apparent that was on the team. Which one are you talking about? Because they got rid of both of them. They got rid of Jacoby Brissett first, and then they got rid of
Garoppolo was the heir apparent. Garoppolo, I think they got rid of Brissett because they thought Garoppolo was the heir apparent, but apparently not.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if the Niners are able to re-sign him, too, because it's at the end of the year here. I don't know if they're going to franchise him. I mean, they got the money because there's no one on that team.
I want to talk about this last team, the comic relief of the NFL. Cleveland Browns did the most Cleveland Browniest move in screwing up a trade for a quarterback. Doug, why don't you fill us in on this one?
Well, they had completed a trade for the Cincinnati Bengals backup quarterback, A.J. McCarron. It was actually completed. Cincinnati had filed their paperwork at the deadline, and the Browns, being the Browns, did not. So the trade did not go through, and no matter what they said, the NFL did not allow them to go through with this trade.
You know, I feel so sorry for the Browns fans. We're going to get cards and letters, hey, dude, don't feel sorry for me, but I do. Not only their organization from the top down is awful. First off, how do you pass on Carson Wentz? That's incredibly stupid. I mean, you have an MVP candidate, and they just wiped him away. Yeah, they kept saying, I don't think he's going to be good. Their evaluators are awful. And then they do something like this.
They always talk about the brain trust that's in charge of a team. There is no brain trust here.
It's a dumpster fire.
This is what happens when you have baseball statisticians or sabermetricians or whatever they call them nowadays in charge of a team. They're not doing anything right.
Moneyball doesn't work for football. You depend on your scouts more than your Moneyball stuff.
Well, you know what actually works really well for football is actually knowing when to fax material over, email the material over at the right time. I mean, they know when the deadline is. I don't know what they were doing. They may have been just going around high-fiving themselves for creating a good trade.
I mean, no one has a clock. No one has a watch. No one has a cell phone that keeps time. Come on. Absolutely ridiculous.
Well, they satisfied the Browns' move for the year, so good job on their part.
What's that tell Kaiser? Boy, you thought he was going to be the guy, they put the ball in his hands, and he's starting, he's not starting, he's starting again, and then they try and get a quarterback, and they fail to get a quarterback. What is Kaiser thinking right now? It's just terrible. Well, it's just awful.
Kaiser's got problems with his concussions. He seems to have a concussion almost every other week. I don't know if he's actually starting material with this team because he just can't stay on the field. He's thrown interceptions left and right. He's not learning anything. It's almost like watching Sanchez with concussions.
And right now they're screwing with his mind.
They're not just screwing with his mind. They're screwing with his emotions and everything else. So I don't think he knows whether he's starting or he's got a future there. He may be trade bait pretty soon, too, again.
Well, now it's time for my favorite segment. Here it is.
We have the Turnpike Sports Police Blotter, an abbreviated segment. As usual, the Turnpike Sports Police Blotter is brought to you by BeanGenius.com. Have some of the best coffee in the country delivered right to your door when you subscribe to Bean Genius. And now get 10% off your subscription when you sign up at BeanGenius.com using our promo code PIKE, P-I-K-E. Bean Genius, the smart specialty coffee subscription service. First up, we're going to talk about the two University of Pittsburgh players who were arrested and charged with...
The Pitt Panthers, huh?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Disorderly conduct and engaged in fighting.
Engaged in fighting? Wow, okay. Is this on the field, or...?
No, this is in the dorms.
In the dorms. Okay.
Police responded to an alleged altercation in their dorm room.
Okay.
Now, according to what the kids say, and I'm calling them kids because listen to what they were fighting over, they started a fight between themselves over Madden.
Oh, that's awesome.
I don't know. I don't know who won. I don't know who they were playing, what teams they were playing each other as.
Do you think the police report has the teams they were playing, or what started it, or what play, or what happened? Or
I'm sure they framed this because this is incredibly stupid.
Oh, this is awesome.
Nothing even happened to them. They're not even suspended from the team or anything.
Well, obviously the cops were called.
Cops were called, and they were charged with fighting.
Well, congratulations, Pittsburgh Panthers.
Good job on their part. Great kids there.
It shows they're competitive. They're fighting over football. Unfortunately, it's Madden football. All right, stick around. We'll be right back with my interview with Simon Chokoisky, who wrote Gambler's Dharma, Sports Betting with Vedic Astrology. Stick around. We'll be back with more Turnpike Sports. We'll get back to the show in a few moments, but I just wanted to take some time and tell everyone about Bean Genius, the smart specialty coffee subscription service. Bean Genius sells freshly roasted coffee from some of the best independent coffee roasters in the country. They feature over 2,000 specialty coffee blends, all at your fingertips at beangenius.com. Here's how it works. Head on over to beangenius.com and take their palate profiler test to find out what coffee best fits your taste. Then select from a variety of subscription plans. Every subscription comes with free shipping, and delivery can even be scheduled for once or twice each month. And based upon your review of each coffee blend you try, Bean Genius actually learns your individual taste preferences and then suggests future coffee blends for you. And now you can get 10% off your Bean Genius subscription when you use our promo code PIKE at checkout. Bean Genius offers a variety of subscription plans to suit any coffee lover's needs. Subscribe with Bean Genius today and start enjoying some of the best tasting coffee around. And save 10% off your coffee plan with promo code PIKE. Looking for a unique online gaming experience? Well, Golden Nugget's online live dealer games are changing the way people play online in New Jersey. Broadcast live from an exclusive studio at the Golden Nugget Atlantic City and streamed directly to you, the player, on your smartphone or your laptop, Live Dealer creates a true casino floor experience online. The dealers even have their own unique personalities, talking to you as they deal the cards. It's almost like being in the Golden Nugget in Atlantic City.
And as long as you're within the New Jersey limits, you can play from wherever you happen to be or on the go. Tablet, phone, or desktop, wherever you are, you can enjoy the Live Dealer experience. Play Golden Nugget's online Live Dealer today in real time, 7 days a week, now from 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. Blackjack, roulette, baccarat, all live in real time on GoldenNuggetCasino.com.
Get started today at GoldenNuggetCasino.com and take part in the newest and most unique online gaming experience a casino can offer. Golden Nugget's online live dealer, truly the next evolution of online gaming. Must be 21 years or older, New Jersey only, problem gambler, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Welcome back to Turnpike Sports. You know, here at the show we get a lot of interesting books written by a lot of interesting people. For me, this is one of the more fascinating books I've read. The writer is Simon Chokoisky, and the book is Gambler's Dharma, Sports Betting with Vedic Astrology. And we are lucky enough to have Simon on the phone with us right now. Simon, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, great. Our pleasure. Just for some background for people out there who are not familiar with it, what is Vedic Astrology?
Well, it's just what it sounds like. It's a type of astrology that's mainly practiced in India, and typically it was just for the kings and queens in the old days to help them figure out when is the best time to go into battle, when is the best time to get married. And, one unique thing we as gamblers understand is that timing is very important. You know, you have good days, you have bad days, you have good weeks, good years, and bad years sometimes. And in the old days, people used to wonder, why does that happen? You know, why is it that sometimes someone who is much less skilled than I am can beat me, and on some days, you know, I can take on the world, whether it's at cards or whatever your pursuit. And so they figured out that there was some correlation between what's happening up in the heavens and whether you were having a good day or not. And so that's Vedic astrology. It's the astrology of ancient India that was used to time major events.
You touch on something that I want to ask you. You know, these techniques you say have been used for thousands of years and in every country of the world. Are you surprised that more people haven't used these techniques with regard to sports and betting?
Yes and no. So in the old days, so any science like this or art or superstition, whatever you want to call it, it wouldn't survive until this day if it didn't have some usefulness, some effectiveness. So as I said, in the old days, both in the West and the East, every king, every important person, I should say, had a consultant. Just as today we have financial consultants, we have consultants, real estate agents. Well, there were astrologers. And so they would ask their astrologers, hey, when should I do this? Or is this a good person to be in business with? And if they were wrong, typically what happened was, especially if you're a king, you didn't fire them. You actually banished them. They were done. Their career was over. Or at worst case scenario, they got their head cut off. So if the stuff didn't work, astrology would have disappeared a long time ago. Now, the problem is that it's a complex science, and there are a lot of charlatans out there, and a lot of knuckleheads like me who, get it wrong and miss stuff, and but we still try our best. Mm-hmm. So I think I understand why it's not used today, because it's very difficult. And another thing is, in the old days, the best minds, like the best mathematicians, the most brilliant scientists, they were doing astrology, the Albert Einsteins of the world. Whereas today, there are many more things that brilliant minds can do. They can go into science. They can go into, building rockets and so on. So we've got more average minds doing astrology, and as a result, it's maybe gone down. Mm-hmm. And so that doesn't surprise me.
When you're talking about sports, what are some of the aspects of a game or a team that you look at when using astrology in sports betting?
A sport is a contest. It's a battle. It's a win or a loss. It's black and white. Well, sometimes there's a tie. And more fundamentally, a contest is a space-time event. That means it begins at a particular place at a particular time. And then it has a lifespan. It lasts an hour or two, or if it's baseball, it can last forever, theoretically. But and then typically it has an ending, just like a human being. So if astrology can be applied to a human being, we're also space-time events. We're born in a certain place in a certain time. We have a lifespan, and then, we expire. So it's the same thing. A sporting contest is just like a human being. And if it works for human beings to be able to tell you, hey, you're going to be successful, you're going to do well, or you're not, then it should work for telling us whether the home team or the favorite team should win. So just like a battle, except these days the battles happen on the gridiron more often than on the battlefield.
What's intriguing about the book is how you bring the reader along during the process of creating a chart for a particular team or game. And at the start of this process is something called Dharma or Dharma types. What is that, and why is that so important when creating your charts?
Well, and I hate to get philosophical here, but Dharma is your right path. It's your purpose in life. It's your calling. And if it's not your calling to be a speculator, to be a gambler, to be in this field, then my contention is no matter how good you get at techniques, no matter how much you study, it's not really the right thing for you. And you should know that before you get into it. My mentor taught me that the astrologer's job is to put themselves out of business. That means that you take a client and you teach them, you help them find their purpose in life. You help them find their calling. And when you do that, then they don't need you anymore. Your job is done, right? And I've said this before, where I think that's also a doctor's job, traditionally, to take a client, teach them good health, how to eat, how to take care of their body, so that they don't need the doctor anymore. That's a utopian kind of world. But when it comes to gambling, I'm sure you've seen people like this who are well-intentioned, they study, but they're just not, somehow it's not for them. Mm-hmm. And this goes for everything. For boxing, people try to be boxers, but they're just not. And so my job, first of all, is to find out, is speculation right for you? Is it in the stars for you, if you will? Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So,
and we start from there. And some people from very early on, they know that's their path, and that's great. And then my job is to help them get better, to help them find the better times to go to the casino, the better times to enter that tournament. But we know that they're in alignment. Mm-hmm. And so that's what that chapter is about.
Another term you use when analyzing a game is something called victory houses. Now, how does the idea of victory houses relate to your analysis?
So in astrology, there's something called houses of the horoscope. There are 12 houses, and each team gets 6 houses that are good for victory, and another 6 that are not good. So it's very simple. When the planets are in the house, in the victory, what I call the victory houses, mm-hmm. That's my term, by the way, for one team, and they're not, and by extension, they're not for the other team, then it shows which team is stronger. Mm-hmm. It's pretty straightforward.
By the way, it's a great term because when I saw victory houses, okay, I need to know this if I'm going to win at sports betting using astrology. I see the word victory, and I'm attracted to it.
Well, I got to tell you, I appreciate you saying that, because when I took this on, my wife and everybody said, who are you writing this book for? There's only so many astrologers, and there's only so many people who bet, and you're writing it for these niches. And I said, you know what? There's something in my heart that's just driving me to do this, and so there it is. So I'm very heartened that you're taking this to heart yourself.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of those things. It's ancient wisdom that's been around for so long, and it's been used around the world. And it's just, I'm surprised that more people aren't embracing this it's from our ancestors, really.
Well, I'll tell you, in the 60s, there was an astrologer in India. His name was Krishnamurti. Mm-hmm. And he got so good to where he had a line around his house like people were trying to buy an iPhone. Like people would camp out for 2 or 3 days, and the line would stretch around the neighborhood a couple of times. And part of the reason how he got so good was he would play cards. And he would test his techniques by playing cards, and he'd see which times, and he was a decent card player, but, he wasn't the best. Mm-hmm. And he would play during times that were good for him, and then he would have his son, so he'd calculate this beforehand, and he'd have his son call him as soon as time turned bad to give him an excuse to leave the table. I know that's a crummy thing to do, but, he was testing this. And so, like at 12:31, his son would call, and he'd say, oh, sorry, guys, I got to take my chips and take off. And he got so good that people wouldn't play with him anymore, so he had to start losing on purpose. Mm-hmm. And this is a true story, by the way. This is, you can verify this yourself. His name was Krishnamurti, and he developed a system to where he could time even down to the hour, which period is favorable for you, which period isn't. And I'm not as good as I study his system and I try to follow along, but there are brilliant people like that who have got this stuff down really to a science. So yeah, I'm surprised too, but also it's very difficult. Like I said, it was only the best minds in the old days who would do this stuff, and these days, not so much.
Stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports. Did you wake up with a sore neck or a bad back? Or maybe you just had an awful night's sleep? Must be the bed, right? Well, maybe it's not your bed. Maybe it's your pillow. That's why I use MyPillow. I sleep great at night and wake up pain-free. And now there's a great deal being offered by the folks at MyPillow. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the Radio 4-Pack Special tab, and use promo code CARDS or call 1-800-319-7913 to take advantage of this 4-pack special. You'll get 2 MyPillow premium pillows and 2 Go Anywhere pillows, all for one low price when you check out with our promo code CARDS. You've heard the commercials about the 60-day money-back guarantee, 10-year warranty, and its patented interlocking fill. But really, get MyPillow because you deserve a restful, deep, comfortable, and healing sleep. That's the Radio 4-Pack special at MyPillow.com or call 1-800-319-7913 and use promo code CARDS. Better sleep starts with MyPillow. Welcome back to Turnpike Sports. For those of you just joining us, we are talking with Simon Chokoisky, who has written a very interesting book called Gambler's Dharma, Sports Betting with Vedic Astrology. Okay, now we understand the terms Dharma types, and we get the concept of victory houses. As I said, it's a process. What is your next step when trying to determine the outcome of a game using Vedic astrology?
Yeah, that's a good question. So in the book, there are a total of 9 techniques. And so the victory houses is one technique, and that's how I first sort of got into it. But the victory houses move very slowly. So basically any game that starts within an hour or so is going to have the same configuration. And so the victory house technique was working a lot, but it was also not working some of the time. And I thought, why isn't it working? And so there are more discrete techniques that depend on an exact start time. And when I gave predictions last week, I noted that if this game starts within a couple of minutes of when it's supposed to, then we expect this outcome. And the more I did this, the more I found that even seconds can make a difference. And So timing, again, back to this idea that timing is everything. And if you begin playing, or if a game begins at a certain time, a certain outcome is expected. But if it begins a minute later, that outcome could be 180. It can be totally different. It could be for the other team.
How much of a change?
So I figured out some techniques to figure that out.
How much of a change in time is? I mean, if it happens within an hour, it's pretty much the same, or can it be changed from minute to minute, or how is that determined?
Honestly, it's from minute to minute. And as I mentioned earlier, the most recent example of this was a Cleveland-New York game, baseball, last game of their series, where, in my opinion, if that game had started 1 minute earlier, so if you're the manager and you know that you're supposed to start within this time, that Cleveland would have won, not New York. And by the way, this isn't, I know this sounds crazy and radical, but we spent 8 years under the Reagan administration having his astrologer time absolutely every meeting, every, airplane takeoff and landing according to this principle. And his assistant even had a stopwatch, and he cued Reagan when it was time to begin a press conference, when it was time to begin a meeting. And his whole presidency ran according to this principle. So a very conservative man, but yet someone who understood, or at least went along with, this principle that to everything, if you want to succeed at something, starting at the right time really gives you a leg up.
It's amazing.
So sometimes it's even minutes and seconds.
It's amazing how precise that is when you're talking about time, how 1 minute can change an outcome of something so important.
Well, and it's hard to believe because you'll never know, right? Yeah. You'll never know if it's if what the other outcome would have been, except that I've tracked games that have begun at very similar times, maybe a minute apart, and the chart is just different by a minute, and the outcome is the opposite. So I actually have, I have thousands of charts that I've looked at, and I have that data. And this speaks to the question of when most scientists think about astrology and they debunk it, they go, well, look at twins. Sometimes twins lead radically different lives, but they were born just minutes apart. And it's true. They're right. And so sometimes minutes can make a difference, and sometimes twins lead very similar lives. Mm-hmm. And in that case, it did make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
I guess connected with time is also the location of a sporting event. How much emphasis do you put on the home team versus the visitor when you're creating your chart?
Right. Well, I mean, it's 10:45 where I am, and it's before noon. But if you were in Tokyo, it would be night, right? So location is very much linked with time. And as Einstein taught us, space and time are really the same thing. And that's why we call it space-time. So location and time are the two components that are the most important. So yes, absolutely, you need an accurate location for a correct horoscope and an accurate start time.
When you talk about location, and we talked at another time, you mentioned individual players will perform differently depending on when and where they play. And this led us to be thinking, would it be beneficial for an athlete or a team to consult an astrologer before he signs with a particular team? Do you know of any athletes who actually consulted with astrologers before joining a team?
That is a great question. No, I personally don't. I work with, I don't work with the kings and queens in the world typically, although I've seen a couple of Hollywood, celebrities and whatnot, but typically I work with mom and pop, clients. But in my opinion, the $100 or whatever you spend to consult with an astrologer before making a, multi-million-dollar move or trade is worth it. I mean, it's well worth it. Because yes, different locations will affect you. So I think even in playing cards, if you go to a tournament in Vegas and, you do well, you may go to a tournament in Jersey or somewhere else and just stink up the room. And part of that could be related to, it may not be, but it's possible that it's related to the fact that in Jersey, you just have bad lines. You've got bad stuff going on there, bad juju for you, so that you don't do as well. And we can identify that.
Oh, great. Easy, I'm in Jersey. I feel terrible now.
No. I mean, individual. So
I know.
You get. By the way, anyone can do this for themselves. There's a site you can go to. I don't know if it's okay to refer. It's not my site. This is a general site, so it's not a plug. It's a site called astro.com. You go to free horoscopes, and then you click on Astro Click Travel, because typically we use this to figure out where people can travel and have a good time and where, areas they should avoid. Click on that, enter your data, and then you'll see all of your lines across the globe. And then anywhere you click, it'll interpret it for you, and it'll tell you, hey, this place is great for business, this place is great for relationships. Uh-huh. Like, just a really quick example, I have a client, or I had a client, and her Venus line went through Portland, Maine. And I said, look, Portland, Maine is great for love for you. And she started laughing. I said, why are you laughing? She said, my husband's from Portland, Maine.
Wow.
And she had never been there. But her husband, love, had come to her from Portland, Maine. And likewise, where you have a Jupiter line is where you're lucky. So when it comes to gambling, you want to look to where your Jupiter line is. Mm-hmm. And so when you find that, go to those places, try it out, see what happens. I've done it. For me, it's through Puerto Rico. And years ago, when I landed in Puerto Rico, I didn't speak Spanish, nothing. And this is a true story. I was on the street corner, and I didn't have any car or anything. There was this guy on a motorcycle. I tapped him on the shoulder. It was a red light. I said, how much you want for that bike? He said, $800. I pulled it out, paid him. He got off the bike, gave me his helmet, and gave me the little thing, the registration. I got on the bike. By the time the light turned green, I was off.
Wow. And
stuff like that happened for me over there like crazy. Like, I would knock on a door and people would say, come in, we've been waiting for you. We need, I was a physical trainer at the time. We need somebody to help us run the gym. Intercontinental Hotel, I became the manager. Like that.
Wow, boy.
So where your Jupiter line is where you tend to be lucky. And you can find that. It's very easy. It's not difficult. Any of your listeners can find it.
Oh, wow. That's an amazing story. I never read a book like the one you've written, Gambler's Dharma, Sports Betting with Vedic Astrology, and that uses Astrology and its technique for sports betting. I gotta ask you, has this book been well received in the astrology world? Have there been astrologers saying, hey, you shouldn't be using our techniques for gambling purposes, or has it been well received within the industry?
There's a small percentage of astrologers who are a little bit above it all and a little bit high and mighty, and actually I understand where they're coming from, because this is a spiritual science. It's meant to empower people, right? And they have this association that speculation is somehow disempowering. And like I said at the beginning, it can be. If it's not your calling, it can be. You can lose your house, in your mortgage. But it's also gotten some great reviews from some professional astrology magazines. So yes, generally speaking, it's been well received.
Well, we're running out of time, and I want to thank you, Simon, for coming on and discussing this very interesting book you've written. The name of the book is Gambler's Dharma, Sports Betting with Vedic Astrology by Simon Chokoisky. And check out his website at spirittype.com. Simon, thanks for coming on.
It's been my pleasure, guys. Take care.
Stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports.
Have you ever wanted something so bad that you do just about anything for it? Well, that's exactly how we feel about you. That's right. AdamandEve.com wants you so bad. We're giving you 10 free gifts with your first order. You heard me right. That's 10 free gifts to spice up your love life. First, you'll get a sexy surprise for her. Second, an adventurous toy for him. And third, a little something we know you'll both enjoy. Plus, you'll get 6 full-length adult movies on DVD. And number 10, free shipping on your entire order. That's 10 free gifts for you shy types who've never tried Adam and Eve before. Just go to adamandeve.com and select any one item. It could be an adventurous new toy, a sexy piece of lingerie, or anything you desire. Just enter offer code BABE16 at checkout, and you'll get all 10 free gifts, including free shipping. That's offer code BABE16. That's BABE 16 at adamandeve.com.
We'll get back to the show in a few moments, but I just wanted to take some time and tell everyone about Bean Genius, the smart specialty coffee subscription service. Bean Genius sells freshly roasted coffee from some of the best independent coffee roasters in the country. They feature over 2,000 specialty coffee blends, all at your fingertips at beangenius.com. Here's how it works. Head on over to beangenius.com and take their palate profiler test to find out what coffee best fits your taste. Then select from a variety of subscription plans. Every subscription comes with free shipping, and delivery can even be scheduled for once or twice each month. And based upon your review of each coffee blend you try, Bean Genius actually learns your individual taste preferences and then suggests future coffee blends for you. And now you can get 10% off your Bean Genius subscription when you use our promo code PIKE at checkout. Bean Genius offers a variety of subscription plans to suit any coffee lover's needs. Subscribe with Bean Genius today and start enjoying some of the best tasting coffee around. And save 10% off your coffee plan with promo code PIKE.
The following segment on Turnpike Sports is intended for entertainment purposes only. Please bet with your head, not over it. Problem gambler? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Welcome back to Turnpike Sports. Every week for our pick section, we are lucky enough to have Simon Chokoisky, the author of the book Gambler's Dharma, Sports Betting with Vedic Astrology. And also be sure to check out Simon's website, spirittype.com. Simon, are you there?
I'm here, ready to go.
All right, great to hear from you.
Hey, Simon, Doug here.
Hey, Doug. Good to hear from you again.
Oh, it's always great having you on the show. For our listeners, before we started doing this segment, Simon had the wherewithal to email us with an idea for a brand new approach to how to do this. And we thought it was a crazy idea, but a really good idea. It's one of those crazy ideas that would actually work because everyone loves fantasy football. We're going to try something a little different. Instead of picking teams, Simon is going to take us through some of his picks for fantasy quarterbacks. So, Simon, this is your new segment?
First, before we start talking about it, do you have a different technique in doing the chart for an individual player as opposed to an individual team? Does other things go into it when you're looking at teams versus players?
Absolutely, and it's a lot easier technique. You basically plug in the player into the chart of the game and see where that player falls. So this idea, the genesis for this was in watching the World Series for the last week or so. And I would look at, for example, Darvish, an excellent, amazing pitcher. But for those two particular games that he pitched, he fell in the worst house of the horoscope, the 8th house, the house of death, destruction, and so on. And I said before the game, I said, he's not going to do well. This guy's, and lo and behold, unfortunately for Dodgers fans, he didn't. Whereas the pitchers, different other pitchers like McCullers and Morton, they fell in a really good house. So even though they may not have been technically, as highly accredited, they did better. And by the way, even Dallas Keuchel on his, one of the best pitchers in the MLB, he didn't fall in a good house. So, and I told everybody, I said, look, Dallas and Kershaw are not going to do well in this game. This was a couple of games ago. And so that's where this idea came up, because a pitcher is a lot like a quarterback. They're sort of the figurehead of the team on that day. And so I thought, let's translate this into football and see if I can have that same level of accuracy. So we're doing this for the first time.
Well, I just want to be clear. Darvish, his chart fell into something called the House of Death and Destruction.
Did I hear? So in a horoscope,
that cannot be good.
There are 12. Oh, it's not good. No. It's not good. Unless you're an undertaker or the 8th house. There are 12 houses in a horoscope. The 8th house is considered the least desirable because it rules death, suffering, and taxes. So all the things that are, I guess, inevitable, but that we want to kind of not look at.
It also sounds like a really cool name for a metal band. So, House of Death and Destruction. That has a Cookie Monster death metal kind of feel to it. So, that's really cool.
Leave the taxes part out of it. It's also a house of sex. So there you go. Sex, death, and taxes. That might be a name. But
that's like a good weekend.
Yeah, well, exactly. And if you have a really good kind of intense weekend, then the next day you're not going to play so well, right? So exactly. that could factor into it.
Well, let's see exactly how you do here. How is this going to work? Are you going to throw out a quarterback and then talk about it, or how do you want?
I'm going to throw them out. Exactly. So my first pick. This is in the Oakland-Miami game. I like Derek Carr. He's one of my top picks. I think he's going to do really well, and he's going to do better than Cutler, who it looks like at the time we're taping, Jay Cutler is set to be the QB for Miami, right?
Looks like it.
But Derek Carr way outperforms him, and I like him a lot to do well this week.
Now, do you have to look at the actual team itself in addition to the quarterback, or are you just looking strictly at the quarterbacks?
I'm looking at the chart of the game, and I'm looking, and I'm sort of, it's like a chessboard, right? And then I'm putting in the different pieces based on where they fall, based on the time and place that the game happens. And if, say, Derek Carr, the piece that he is, falls in a good spot, then that's good. And if, like the example with Darvish, he fell into a bad house, then no matter how good the guy is on that day, he's likely to have a bad performance. Okay,
so basically you're almost like holding a microscope up to your chart to go into one specific spot.
Right, over the whole chart, and it looks like Derek Carr will outperform expectations. He'll do well.
Cool. Who's your next one?
Jay Cutler, not so good. Next one's Russell Wilson. I like him in the Seattle game, especially versus Kirk Cousins. I don't see Kirk doing well. I see Russell doing very well.
That's actually interesting. Yeah, it's one of those things where I did not expect you to pick Russell over Cousins because Russell has not been playing too well this year.
Mm-hmm. Well, noted, and I'm going to note that down myself because, to be frank, I haven't watched every football game this year. I've been, as I said, more into the baseball, but I'm going to pay very close attention starting, here on out. Cool. But again, I like where he falls, so let's see what happens.
Cool. Next one.
All right, next one. I really like Jared Goff. Jared Goff, especially heads up against Eli Manning. No doubt, he's got it. But he, along with Derek, those would be my top two picks for the week.
Wow.
Top two quarterbacks. And Russell Wilson, I would say, is up there. So let's say the top three.
Okay. And now do you actually play fantasy football, or are you just doing this, to
I live in Arizona.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, never mind.
So I'm not going to comment. But, I do have friends in Vegas and so on. So no, the answer is no, I don't play fantasy football, but it's something I'm going to look into more now since we're doing this segment.
Well, Simon, I don't live in Arizona, and I'm going to take your picks because I've been doing great with your picks before. So any other ones?
Let me take well, on the negative side, I don't like Marcus Mariota. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to do well this week. So anyone out there who is on the fence, whether I should pick him or not, I'm gonna say don't. Marcus Mariota does not look good for this week specifically, not the season, just for this week.
All right,
looks very poor, in fact. And I don't think Drew Brees is going to do well either.
Really?
Despite how well he's been doing, I think he will underperform.
With okay, that's an interesting pick, especially against Tampa Bay. That's one of those things where the common logic would probably say go with but
I know.
it's one of those things. This is why we like this working with you, because you come up with these different, unique takes on everything, and that's the way you should look at it.
Yeah. Well, and let's see how Drew performs. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to lose, but so I'm looking specifically at the player this week rather than the team. So I think Drew will underperform expectations.
Okay. All right. Well, we're running out of time, but I just want to let our listeners know that all of Simon's quarterback picks for this weekend are going to be put up on the Turnpike Sports blog. Head on over to turnpikesportsradio.com and click on the blog button, and you'll see all his picks for the week.
And I also want to remind everyone to pick up the book Gambler's Dharma, Sports Betting with Vedic Astrology by Simon Chokoisky, and check out his website at spirittype.com. Thanks a lot, Simon.
Thanks a lot, guys. Great to be here.
All right, Simon.
Talk to you next week.
Have a good one.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
And that'll do it for us. See you next time out on the Turnpike.